No, this is not merely a copy of the last video, switching a witch for some dwarves. Both input and output actually differ. The only thing that remains is the question: are they Grimdark? And the input does not only differ in numbers and height. This time, I'll start from scratch. 5 of them have been recovered from my father's basement, and the plan is to keep the original colors, because I specifically recall this fellow from my youth. In those times, it was not just about how much money they cost, even though it sure was a factor as well. Where I lived, it was equally hard to find miniatures in general, and not to mention, your faction, and if you wanted something specific. A lot of you can probably relate to this. So I remember that I was very happy when I got a hold of the one Thunderer with a scope. Like, that would ever help on a musket. Anyway, I'm keeping these colors, even though I now find them not so appealing. I've never really liked the whole Landsknecht theme. Incoherent bright colors is not really my thing. But this time I have a cunning plan. I'll use Streaking Grime. Pretty much accepted as, Grimdark in a bottle. The equivalent of Nuln Oil for boxart, I suppose. And I only tried it twice before, and because of the primer I use, it has been sitting in a drawer ever since. But it's time to bring it up and see what it can do. The plan is that it will mute the colors to an acceptable level and introduce a Grimdark vibe. I say vibe because, just as with non-oil, I have a notion that it might not be as magic as it appears. Wise from experience, I did not just drench my 30-year-old paint jobs and hoped for the best. I had a few old but previously unpainted ones, so I started out with those. I took 2 of them and did the Grimdark 101. Drenched them in Streaking Grime, waited a while, and then wiped them off. I did not really like the result actually. They don't really look grim, just dirty, like they fell in a ditch. And they're not very dark either. For the next 2, I did the same thing, but I also used a bit more white spirit to more effectively clean up the highlights, and then I went in with a bit of black oil wash to bring them down. It is much better, but I still don't really like them. As a reference, to my last set of test dwarves, I applied my regular mix for deep shadows. It's a 50-50 mixture of black and Payne's grey. It probably just looks black over the screen, but in reality it gives a slightly increased punch to the shadows. And now I do like them. So I did the rest of the team in this way. I patched up their old colors, trying just to match the old ones as close as possible. It was actually a rather fun puzzle and a good, color blending exercise. Then I drenched them in deep shadow, not using too much white spirit because I prefer to apply a thin coat all over and then remove. I found that if I do this, I hardly have to wait anything before I start. It is probably just better to do it as a wash and wait a bit more, but well, I guess I'm stuck where I am. However, I was very happy with the result. But just like the last video, they're not really grimdark. Compared to last time, they now actually feel a lot more dark. But once more, the grim part was lacking. Since my last video, I've been lost in the videos of Dark Ages Workshop. And in the Grimdark painting tutorial, number 1, I think I found the most accurate description of Grimdark that I can find. Seek out to mirror the hardship of the world onto the models. It so explains why these are not Grimdark. They are the same healthy looking troops that can be found in the army display pages of the 6th edition rulebook, just with deeper shadows. They might not be fighting in the light of noon, but they still had a hot meal before the battle. Looking at them now, I see what they are. They're the missing link. The missing link between the neat and orderly army showcase pages and the much more Grimdark illustrations, like these ones. This happens to be the rulebook that I call home, but I believe it's very similar in the other ones. The result should not be very surprising, given that the original goal was to reproduce the box art, and that I then tried to bring them over. Because you can't bring them over. If you go further down the Grimdark path, you will have to drop even more of the box art. This time, I will not press on and try to bring this over. This fits my needs. Because I want to make a team of treasure hunters, and I imagine them to be an eclectic collection consisting of previously lucky dwarves clad in lavish, bright clothes, as fitting for rich people with no style. But also fresh recruits, straight from the mines, hoping to finally make some quick cash. And as a large bonus, if the rumors of the old world materialize, this might be the way I can bring up my small dwarf army to a modern standard. And if so, these will have to be a part of it. I feel content with this team, and in honor of my findings, I've decided to call their style Boxdark. I would like to have called it Grimbox, because it sounds cooler, but that would be misleading. That should probably be these guys. I suppose I will have to give that a try at some point, but now I'll get on with the dwarves. Today I would just like to thank all of you who commented on the last video, because that is really my major encouragement. And with that said, thank you for watching, and until next time, don't forget to enjoy your hobby.